In this presentation, we'll talk about the executive branch of Armenian government. What is the executive branch of Armenia and how is it formed? The government of the Republic of Armenia, or the executive branch of Armenian government, is an executive council of government ministers in Armenia. It is one of three main governmental branches of Armenia and is headed by the Prime Minister of Armenia. Powers of government granted by the Constitution. I'm going to talk about the resignation of the government and its formation. Following the Armenian constitution, Republic's president must accept the resignation of the government on these days. First of all, the sitting of newly elected National Assembly, then assumption of the office by the President of the Republic, afterwards expression of the vote of no confidence to the government, resignation of the Prime Minister, and vacant position of Prime Minister. Later on, Prime Minister must be appointed by the President of the Republic. The elected Prime Minister should enjoy the confidence of majority deputies and, if this is impossible, the confidence of maximum number of deputies. The government with its ministries, adjunct bodies and staff shall be formed within 20 days after Prime Minister is appointed. After this, the government is considered to be formed. All the ministries and also Prime Minister must be citizens of Republic of Armenia. The structure of the government must be defined by law in regard to recommendation by the government. The role of the Prime Minister is that it should supervise the government activities, coordinate the work of the ministries, and it should adopt decisions to the organization of government activities. In addition, decisions passed by the government must be signed by the Prime Minister. The President has the right to suspend governmental decisions for checking the compliance of decisions with the Constitution. Before the day of opening of the first session of National Assembly of the subsequent convention, the meetings of the government shall be chaired by the President of the Republic or, upon his or her recommendation, by the Prime Minister. Government decisions shall be signed by the Prime Minister and approved by the President. A government's mission. The mission of government. According to Article 85 of Armenian Constitution, the government should develop and implement the domestic policy and it should implement foreign policy of the Republic of Armenia, jointly with the President of the Republic of Armenia. By virtue of Constitution, the international treaties, the laws of the Republic of Armenia or the decrees of the President of the Republic, and to ensure the implementation thereof, the government shall adopt decisions which shall be subject to observance in the whole territory of the Republic. Now I'm going to talk about the responsibilities of the government, and here are the 8 responsibilities which are defined by the Constitution. So the first one is submitting the program to the National Assembly for approval. Afterwards, submit the draft state budget to National Assembly for approval, ensure the execution of the budget, and submit financial reports on the budget execution to the National Assembly. Then manage the state property, implement unified state policies in the areas of finances, economy, taxation, loans, and credits. Implement the state territorial development policy. After, implement state policies in the areas of science, education, culture, social security, and environmental protection. Sixth point is about ensuring the implementation of the defense, national security, and foreign policies of the Republic. Seventh point is ensuring the maintenance of law and order, take measures to strengthen the legal order and ensure rights and freedoms of the citizen. And finally, the last one is performing other functions and powers provided by the Constitution and laws. So now let's talk about the program of the government. So by the Constitution, our Constitution of Armenia states that the government must, within 20 days of its formation, present its developed program to the National Assembly of the Republic. Later on, National Assembly should discuss a vote for the approval of the program within 5 days after its presentation. The President shall dissolve the National Assembly if it does not give an approval to the program of the government 2 times in succession within 2 months. Now let's go on to the budget of the government. Regarding state budget, the government shall submit the draft of the state budget to the National Assembly at least 90 days prior to the beginning of the fiscal year. The government may put forward a motion of its confidence in conjunction with the adoption of the state budget. If the National Assembly does not express no confidence in the government, then the state budget, as well as the amendments approved by the government, shall be considered adopted. If the National Assembly expresses no confidence in the government in conjunction to the draft of the state budget, the new government shall submit the draft state budget to the National Assembly within a period of 10 days after the approval of its program. This draft should be debated and voted on by the National Assembly within a period of 30 days in accordance with the procedure defined by this article. So let's talk about other important points, out of which the first one is the restriction of members of the government. According to Armenian constitution, a member of government cannot be engaged in holding office in commercial organizations or in state and local self-government bodies not connected with his or her duties, or be involved in entrepreneurial activities, save for pedagogical, creative and academic activities. Second point I want to mention is powers regarding legislative initiatives. The government has the right of legislative initiative. It has the right to determine the sequence of the debate for its proposed draft legislation and can demand that they be voted only with amendment acceptable to it. The government may put forward a motion on confidence in the government in conjunction with the adoption of a draft law proposed by the government. If within 24 hours after the government has raised the question of the vote of confidence, a minimum of 1/3 of total number of deputies does not put forward a draft resolution on expressing no confidence in the government, if majority of total number of deputies, the draft law proposed by the government shall be considered adopted. However, the government can put the motion on confidence more than 2 times in any single session. Third point is that government may remove the head of community in cases prescribed by the law on the basis of conclusion of the Constitutional Court. And the last point I want to talk about is the regional governors. Based on Article 88.1, regional governors are appointed and dismissed by decision of government, and they are validated by the President. The regional governors shall pursue the territorial policy of the government and coordinate the activities of the territorial services of the executive bodies, save for cases prescribed by the law. So now let's talk a little bit about the history of executive branch of Armenia. Third Republic of Armenia, the head of the executive branch or the government is the Prime Minister. So the government is constructed of 18 ministries, including Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Diaspora, Ministry of Nature Protection, and so on, and 6 adjunct bodies, police, national security, etc. Now let's talk about Vazgen Manukyan, who was the first Prime Minister of Armenia, holding his position from 1990s to 1991. He was also President of Armenian Democratic Union and first Chairman of AAM. He was as well Director of Center of Strategic Studies. In 1988, he was the coordinator of Karabakh Committee, and in 1990, he was a deputy of Armenia's Supreme Soviet. So, talking about Vazgen Sargsyan, which was a beloved prime minister by the people, though he was killed on October 27 in 1999 because of the terroristic attack on the National Assembly. Though he held this position of prime minister in 1999, he was as well national hero of the Republic of Armenia, hero of Artsakh. He was also a holder of Golden Eagle, prose writer, member of former Soviet Union writers, author of articles and many books. He was also holder of Armenian Kosomlov's Lenin Award in literature. Going to Serge Sargsyan, who is our president now. He was the prime minister during 2007 to 2008. As I mentioned, he was the current current president of Republic of Armenia. From 2006 to 2007, he was the chairman of the Republic of Armenia Political Board, and in November 2007, he was elected to be the chairman of the Republic of Armenia. He was awarded the Battle Cross, Tigran the Great, and Golden Eagle orders. As well, he was the holder of the title of Hero of Artsakh, the president of the Armenian Chess Federation and Yerevan State University Academic Board. Going to Second Republics of Government, Second Republic of Armenia was Soviet Republic of Armenia. It was the highest executive organ and was the Council of People Commissars, which was formed by the Supreme Soviet of Soviet Republic of Armenia. The council was led by the chairman, and it had a strong hierarchical structure. The council issued orders and decisions and supervised their execution. Going to Anton Kochinyan, who held this position of chairman, which was equal to the prime minister during Soviet Union times from 1952 to 1966. The monument for the genocide victims were built during his tenure. He organized the creation of automatic electro station in Armenia, and there is also an interesting story. When Brezhnev came to Armenia on the way to Yerevan, the cars were caught in a traffic jam. So the city has grown and cannot do without the metro. Kochinyan said to Leonid Ilyich. Leonid Ilyich did not reject the offer of the skiller leader to build metro in Yerevan. Talking about Alexander Masnikyan, who was also chairman from 1921 to 1922, as well as the first chairman of Soviet Republic of Armenia. During his tenure, the bright minds who were banished from Armenia returned, led by Alexander Tamanyan. Also, he edited around 10 newspapers, wrote a number of literary articles. Alexander Masnikyan died on the plane while flying to Abkhazia, and there are opinions that it was a murder organized by Lavrentsy Beria. So the first republics of government, talking about the first republic of Armenia, had a very short life from only 1918 to 1920. On the May 30th in 1918, ARF decided that Armenia must be a republic under a provisional coalition government. So the government of the republic was headed by the prime minister. Afterwards, it was chosen by National Council of Armenia, and the prime minister was accountable for international, domestic, and regional issues. So Hovhannes Khajazmuni, he was the first prime minister of the first republic, held the position from 1918 to 1919. During his time, there was a severe hunger in Armenia, though he partially solved the problem by bringing back 300,000 bags of flour, a lot of crops, and canned products, which did a really huge help to the people in Armenia. He was arrested in 1937 by Soviet Union, and he died in 1938 in prison. So Simon Veretyan, he was the prime minister only for 8 days, from 25th to 2nd in 1920. Armenia lost independence and became a part of USSR. So Simon Veretyan tells that shooting the last bullet, Armenian soldiers, the government, and those who refused to abide with laws of independence of the country on July 10 went through Araks and entered Persia, taking with them the flag of independent Armenia to continue the ideological struggle for their country's independence. So thank you for your attention. Please like and share.